you can see that, we don't do a lot of self-promotion. The last couple of years, we haven't been on social media hardly at all. The world got a little weird, and we kind of pulled back, said, hey, let's just focus on making. And we kind of lost touch with everybody a little bit in some ways. I think everybody lost touch a little bit. It's nice to re-engage. It's nice to see you guys here. I see some new faces. I see some old faces. One of my favorite lines, the older I get, the more prescient it becomes. Time has this ability to either expose or promote us. For you youngsters, time will either expose you to be a fraud or promote you to be a good human being. And it doesn't matter what people say in the moment. The more successful you are, the more you have your gaze down the road, and you don't get caught up in the little eddies of the moment. You focus on the long term, and as the winds of change maybe would push you off course if you're short-sighted, you play the long game. I think about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett thinks on generational wealth terms. He's thinking 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the future. You look at Elon Musk. I hate to bring up Elon Musk, but Elon Musk is thinking about the survival of the species terms. He's thinking in an even longer epoch. And most people are, if you think about it, young people are trying to pay their rent. They're trying to figure out how to pay the bills this year, how to get through college. And the more successful you get and the more time you spend on this planet, we're here for a very short period of time, the more you get your kind of vision downrange. If you're thinking about, if you're an existentialist like I am, you're thinking about dying, I don't have time to candy coat. I don't have time to worry about people's feelings very much. I honestly don't care about your feelings. Fuck your feelings. I really care about straightforward and being as truthful as possible. And I don't know if any of you ever listened to Jordan Peterson. He says he tries to be truthful all the time. He tries. Being really truthful all the time. That's why that movie Liar Liar with Jim Carrey is so funny, because it's impossible to be really truthful all the time. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get in your own skin, and the more you bump up to the human beings around you. Because being truthful bruises most people who live in a certain amount of delusion. Oh, my job's great, I got the world by the ass. Until you come in and find out you're fired. Until they pass a law that says guns are illegal. Until you one thing or the other. None of us are as secure as we think we are. So one of the things at our company that's been kind of a core ethos is we do it ourselves. There are a lot of knife businesses that have popped up in the last 5 years, 2 years, 1 year. They draw some doodles, they send some CAD pictures off to China, then actual real knife makers in China make a bunch of knives and send it all back here. It's a business model, it's not illegal, fine, whatever. It would be illegal in any other time where your morality has to match your voting, has to match your culture, has to match your community. But it's okay now. Just because technically it's legal doesn't mean it's right. When you support these expensive American-made products, whether it is an American-made watch made by so few people, whether it is American-made shoes, which I spend some money on, it's one of my weird fetishes. American-made stuff have less things around you, and the things that are around you be awesome. You don't have a bunch of plastic injection molded shit for a garage sale. You have these talismans of your success. You guys get this at some level, and when we talk to people about having $2,000 pocket knives or $3,000 pocket knives or $20,000 watches, there's something about having less crap and more spectacular so that the physical things we have uplift our lives. And you guys being part of that, and not just buying into it psychologically, but putting up your hard-earned money, it validates what we do. So we really appreciate it. It's nice to get out and see you all. It was a nice break, quite frankly, from was getting somewhat frantic show schedule we used to be on. Had a couple years off. It's almost like going on sabbatical and we're getting back to teaching. A lot of what we do is talk to people about why we do what we do and why it's awesome. Jeff and Lindsay do sales and business development for the company, and I always say don't sell anything to anybody. Teach them about what we do, say nothing negative, and I don't need to tell them they're awesome people. We don't need to say anything negative about anybody else ever. If I'm talking about somebody else's negative, all that means is I've run out of airspeed, altitude, and ideas on what I'm doing and how good it is. We are fixated on making it ourselves. We are fixated on making it in America. We're fixated on every process, everything as much as absolutely possible being here made under the values that we all vote for. Whether you're a little left or you're a little right, 85% of us agree on 85% of all subjects. We're all really, really closer than everyone paints it out to be. So our morals that we believe in, the 40-hour work week, time and a half overtime, clean water, clean air, conservation, all of those things, we all agree on those to a very high degree. And we try to live that out, and the purchases that you make support those morals. So we really appreciate it. We're very honored and humbled to have you here. We don't do enough self-promotion. If we did a little tiny bit more, the room would be twice as big. This isn't about bigger. It's about hopefully people wanting to come back and enjoy breaking bread with each other. It's an ancient right? It's an ancient right to break bread with one another. It means you trust one another. You can enjoy fellowship and camaraderie and share love. And we appreciate you being here. So anybody here their first time having dinner with us? Cool. How about an iron size for you, sir?
Thank you, Greg.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much. It's awesome.
Goddamn, I don't know your name. What's your name?
Scott.
Hey, Scott. Hi, I'm Greg, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Greg.
Sounds like you've been coming back.
Hey, coming back.
Oh, because it works.
It's still working.
All right, we got a couple of people in the same health club in here. Next, we got a couple of Alcaces. So Alcacé was a Native American from Arizona. He fought during the Indian Wars, worked with federal troops, received the Congressional Medal of Honor in the Geronimo campaign, and was an all-around badass. If you see pictures of him, he was not this scraggly looking kind of turn of the century kind of picture you see of Native Americans. He was a Adonis warrior type guy. And when I read about him, I was like, oh shit, I got a name. Alcacé. There's nothing pop, hip, or cool about the name, but I wanted to pay homage to him because he was an Arizona boy who made good, and his people have been there long before my people were. So kind of cool, the Alcacé. If you get one of these, let's see. Who has come from more than 1,000 miles away? Raise your hand if you come from more than 1,000 miles to get here today. Except for the employees.
I mean, we're kind of technically.
Oh, wait a minute. We got a California. Like, how far is that? It's 1,800 miles. Okay. So we got anybody come from further away than California? Boom.
And that's legal in California. It's under 2 minutes.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
You gotta sign something.
How many of you have been here since the very first gathering we had? Just you two? Anybody else? Oh boy. In this case, Late Show 2023s for you guys. Thank you. Thank you all. You don't already have one, do you? You know, it's funny.
You always say no when you get asked that.
It's like, I got 3 today.
This was my first
When I
one.
started making knives, you know, we had 2 wars going on. I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of friends in Afghanistan and Iraq. Man up, goddamn it. And I was making knives for them. So we ended up selling a whole bunch of them, and it basically funded the whole company. You know, like, what do you do when you come up, You make some knives, and everyone complains how much they are, and you say, well, $550 is expensive. Let's make a $1,200 knife. Fuck you guys. So we did the Praetorian tie. And I drew that knife in about 5 minutes because I had the third person say, why is $550? I said, fucking $1,200 for this one. You're fucking so cool, you can't say anything to fuck you knife. So I wrote the knife out and said, it's the fuck you model. Because you got to come up with a working name for it. The first 4 names you come up with are taken by somebody always. So I did the Praetorian, I put it out there. I gave one to a Navy SEAL buddy of mine who was going down range, and then someone saw a picture of it, and we sold 10,000. Now, that will get your attention if you almost didn't make your last mortgage payment. Let me tell you. Uh-oh, it's going to be a company. Holy shit, and you hold on for the ride. The wars finally ended, and we started making all these everyday carry knives. You know, the company's changed. We were making Praetorians and Marauders and big fixed blades, tactical service Tonto, and all of these fighting knives, really killing knives. And now we're making slim gentleman pocket knives, we're making steak knives, and we're making the T-bone, and we're making the forward flipper. And it's just us adapting to the marketplace and how times have changed, right? Somebody said to me today, who said sometimes you're on a horse, you just go where the horse wants to go. I forget what it was, a great Southern saying. And that's what's happened. The market say, wow, that Medford, all he ever makes is those crowbar Praetorian ties. Well, if you sold 10,000 of them, let me tell you what you can start making some things.
Hell yeah.
But you know, the world's changed, and so what we've done is, we're not intransigent. I see a lot of knife makers still making what they were making 7, 8 years ago. And we do have our legacy line because, so many guys like what we make, but you can't show up with the Praetorian tie every year. So we've got a lot of new models. I think it's a testament to the team that I'm able to doodle some stuff, and we come up with these really cool models. This is the most we've ever brought in a long time, huh, Jeff? So what are the new ones we brought this year? The AIO2, the Bushy, the Polysong, which we're calling the Viceroy. We brought the Antic, our forward flipper. We brought the T-bone, our pocket steak knife, and our OTF. And for you, and the Merc one. And so, if you guys, you can only imagine the OTF to knives is like a 12-cylinder Bugatti. It's a lot going on, and there's a lot of subtlety to it. So to come out of the gate and just pop up one of those out of nowhere, that's kind of different than everybody else's when you look inside. It's a big damn deal. So to be able to do that just means we've got this really awesome team dedicated to the craft. Nobody would go to work if they didn't get paid. For the most part, people are like, shit, there's other things to do. You gotta make a living, you gotta get paid. And our team comes to work because they gotta get paid, they gotta make a living. And I think they also really like making this stuff. So it's humbling and it's an honor always, and we're really grateful to you guys because we wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for y'all. Let's give one more of these. Who's our youngest Not Jason. How old are you? How old?
13.
You're 14, right?
I'm
How old
6.
are you?
There you
How old are you? Okay.
go. I identify.
First one. What is it? What, Tough? That's your first name? Tough? My parents are awful, man.
I'm scared.
I wish my first name was Warrior Badass.
You can't give it changed.
Okay, the next knife, this is a good knife. Tell me, ladies, how come you're here? Just in support?
Papa's gonna
What's that?
a dealer.
Oh, jeez. What do you carry? You carry all of them? Personally?
Yeah. Well, what do I carry?
Yeah. Nice. How about a Praetorian Genesis to go with it? Don't sell it, not just for you. The last one, These, do you guys know the story behind the samurai sacks? Does anybody have one? A couple of you got them? You guys know the story behind them? So, I know this is really weird, but I used to collect antique Japanese wedding gowns. Now, it's a strange thing. You might think Greg Medford's collecting antique Japanese wedding gowns.
Explains a lot. The nudes were just the first part.
So the really cool thing about Japanese wedding gowns, like a lot of things Japanese, they're generally made by only a couple of families in Japan. They've generally been making them for between 600 and 800 years. Unbroken dynastic family craftsmanship. And every one of them was completely and utterly handmade and unique. So when a woman in traditional Japanese garb was married, from like the 12th century on, her dress, and anybody who's ever shopped or been around someone shopping for a wedding dress, having one unique that is not like someone else's is big in our culture also. Yeah. For the Japanese, every kimono ever for a wedding was absolutely, authentically a one of a kind. To do that for millions of people with a few families is pretty spectacular. So there was something about me in my formative years, I fell in love with kimonos because every one you got was like a fingerprint, totally unique. And there are old people in Japan who could tell where you are from and who made your kimono just by the look of it, which was pretty phenomenal. So I got into them and I started collecting them. The problem is they just decay over time and they don't mean anything to anyone but eccentric Nipponophiles like myself. Racist Nipponophiles who hate the Japanese. So, if for any of you who followed the Nishimoto saga, he said I was a racist against the Japanese. I go, have you ever seen my Japanese kimono collection? Are you kidding me? I love Japan. So, I started, what are you going to do with all these kimonos I was collecting? And basically, I cut them up and had them sewn into these little bags. So, when you have one of these samurai sacks, they actually come from World War I to World War II era, original one-of-a-kind kimonos that I collected. And we cut them up and had them sewn into little sacks. And the cloth on the inside was the liner on the inside of the kimono and the obi. So I just thought they're really cool, still one of a kind, still unique, and it was like they get to kind of throw forward into time another 100 years of like practicality and usefulness. Inside of this one, we've got a Gentleman Jack, blackout. Now this is a Gen 1 Gentleman Jack that's in Damascus. So I was thinking this is a perfect kind of gentleman's knife for somebody that likes slip joints. It is beautiful, but it is my Gen 1, so it is my most primitive, inexperienced thinking, and I only wanted to give this to somebody I trust. Because if you were to do a video on it, it shows a naivete about slip joints that you will not find in our Gen 2 and in all of our current slip joints, which are walk and talk, they're cool, and they meet all of the little persnickety slip joint requirements. This community is finicky as hell.
No.
Yep. I wanted to give it to somebody who has been supportive of us and has definitely been skeptical at periods. And Joe, it's for you.
All right.
It's been very interesting to see over the years. I've been called a whole lot of things by a whole lot of people, and most of the folks who said this stuff don't actually know me or haven't taken the time to get outside themselves. And you can tell when people have a judgment about me that's really about their Uncle Frank, or it's really about their dad. It's really not about me, because their reaction doesn't match anything. You go, what the fuck are you talking about? So it's been interesting to see people's kind of arc. If they come back and they continue to hate me in videos, and then after a while they start to say, okay, well, I don't disagree entirely. And then after a while they're like, okay, I see where you're coming from. And then like after, all right, well, I'm glad. I'm like, hey, you gave me a new opinion. And then after a while they're calling me on the phone, and next thing you know, it's not everybody, but if someone takes the time to come back, they go, the dude is thoughtful. His solution is different than mine. We're still trying to solve the same problem in America. And he is crazy about the knives. I'm crazy too. And actually, I shouldn't hate him because my Uncle Frank, it was really my mom's issue, my Uncle Frank, not mine. So, Joe, I think you kind of had that a little bit in the beginning. Yeah. So I thought it was that knife's the beginning of my character arc of development on slip joints. I think it's kind of emblematic of your initial opinion of me and how things have changed. And I appreciate you being here, and we appreciate your support over the years. So everybody who, when you hear what you hear, you don't have to stick up for me. I'm a big boy. But a little twinkle in your eye, remember, our initial take on people sometimes is dead wrong. I mean, Kevin and CJ, and what do you guys think? I mean, do you guys ever get attacked for that you kind of support us?
Yeah.
And people say, what the fuck over? Yeah, right? And what do you tell them? Do you go, well,
I'm a big dude, I support him.
I mean, it's kind of weird. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean, you guys get some grief for being friends. Just like I've lost friends over having been a Trump supporter, and I appreciate not losing you guys as friends. But how do you deal with it? What do you do? You say, oh, you don't know, or what do you say? Or yeah, I don't agree with him on everything, or what do you say?
He's an asshole, by
Jeff had the best.
That's what most of my friends. He's an asshole, but I like him. That's what Jeff said. So Jeff came on. Jeff, is it now 6 years? Yeah. So Jeff's coming up on 6 years. Jeff showed up with a leather portfolio with a resume, and he was like retired but wanted to work. And I was like, and I basically told him, I said, hey, you're great. I don't know what to do with you. I can't afford you. And he's like, hey, look, I don't take that much, but I really like the company. Jeff's one of those guys who's like has jumped in to support the company, and in a big way, he's part of the keel of the company, and I'm super grateful to have him as a friend and part of the company. Lindsay, Jeff and I she was our bartender at our favorite little salad joint for about 2 years while she was becoming a nurse, and the masking started, and we were like, hey, you're a gangster like us. You can't fucking go do that. So I'm like, listen, go talk to your husband, see if it's cool, but you should come work for our company. So they came down and had a tour, and you see this change. And then, I don't know, one of the best hires ever was snagging Lindsay and bringing her on board with the company. And he says, oh, why are you so fucking smart? And I said, look, Jason came out. I think he toured with us, right? Did you take a tour at the factory back when it was a shactory? What happened?
No. I mean, I came on the plane in 2016 to meet you and the crew.
And then, how did you end up in Arizona?
I'm still trying to figure that out. But,
He just woke up
one day.
Where were you before, though? How did we get you?
Well, when I went to see you in Glacier, I was living in Alabama. When we came back to Arizona, I got laid off from work. Not laid off, but they let go like 3,200 of us.
We made half as many knives. That's really hard to do. You don't get that without dedicated people with tender, raw hands after a long day of checking knives. And having the very challenging conversations that Americans don't like. You know why Americans don't like manufacturing? Because fuck your feelings. Because you hand them a knife and say, hey, it doesn't pass. It's got this problem, this problem, this problem. It doesn't matter how much your mom said you're the most precious little creature on God's green earth. It doesn't matter about your college degree. It doesn't matter how slick you think you are or how many followers you have on Facebook. Half your knives from yesterday, your full grown-up day making stuff, failed. Look in the mirror, make them better. We got to do it again today. And every morning we come in, and that's the conversation. Jason's part of that. And it's hard to not be friends with the people that you critique every day. It's hard for them every day. There's nothing worse than getting your teeth kicked in, making nearly perfect knives all day. You think you did a good job. You walk in the morning and 3/4 of them are fails, and you have to redo them. That's very, very challenging. I wouldn't want the assembly job. I've had it. We have people doing it. I would not want it. It's a tough job, and we are demanding as hell. And every now and then, I got to get together and everybody say, okay, calm the fuck down. Perfect costs $10,000 a knife. Calm down. This is just, we're doing awesome today. We can't do perfect. We're going to go out of business. But the knives we make now are the best we've ever made, and it's because of Jeff and his Monday Monday meeting with everyone. It's because of Lindsay and her 1,000 meetings she has a day, meeting with customers, meeting with the pimping in the back, getting everything customized just right. And Jason sitting there hour after hour, checking knives, rejecting, having tough conversations with guys who are, sometimes they almost look like they're gonna cry. It would not happen without them. And the latest addition to our team, Heather here sitting next to me, is in production management. We just snagged her out of the jewelry world. She started a business up in Tulsa, went from her just out of a divorce, kind of coming up with what to do. She bought a machine in her place and had it at her house, and next thing you know, she had 10 machines and was juggling all these people, merged with a gal who came along and said, hey, let's do this together. And then next thing you know, they had 300 employees, and she's made jewelry for Garth Brooks and the Black Crows and all sorts of famous people, and she hates the name drop, but the list is absolutely bizarre, how many people she's made stuff for. And we ended up snagging her as her move back out to where she was born. She was born in the same room I was born in, a couple of years after me at Good Samaritan. So we met. Those of you know that Amy and I split up 3 years ago, and it's been very challenging. It's been challenging on me, it's challenging on her. She's just a great gal, the mother of my children, and she's beginning to step away from the company. You know, we put it out on a couple videos, but unless you watch every video, you might not know what's going on. It's been really tough on her, and you know, I've tried to do it as gracefully as possible, and it's been an interesting time of change. So Heather, we're super lucky to have you there, and she's really stepped into the production supervisor role with some kind of ownership thinking we haven't had in the past. It's been people kind of like going, oh my God, the building's on fire, how do we manage the chaos? And it's a slightly different approach. I think you're gonna see some evolution over time that's already getting pushed by her, so real grateful. You can't do this without awesome people. It is not our building, it is not our machines, it is not our grinding, it is the talent and it is the passion to make in America and be part of making really awesome things. I feel sorry for people who don't know what they do at the end of every day, but I don't feel sorry for anybody in our building. We all know what we do. We make really cool knives, and you guys support it, and we appreciate it. So thanks for being here tonight, and may we do this for a few more years and enjoy it all here in America. Thanks you guys very much. Salute to you all. Appreciate it.